Just beyond the Schengen border, you'll find the neighboring countries of Poland and Hungary. These two countries have stood against the most powerful political union in the world by resisting their migration and democracy demands. While countries like Germany and France have openly agreed to the migration, Poland and Hungary refuse to do so over security concerns, fear of terrorism, and cultural erosion. Standing up to a powerful union like the EU is like poking a beehive, not the smartest of moves. Let's see where it leads them.
Władzy, która zabiera nam wielkie marzenia I zabiera nam aspiracje.
Before we jump into why the EU has problems with its two member states, let's have a look at the history between them. Since the early 2000s, both Poland and Hungary have been in talks of joining the European Union in hopes of gaining political stability and economic growth and becoming a part of the Western world. After several discussions, the two countries were unanimously accepted as an EU member state on May 1, 2004. This partnership was a big step for the countries, especially for Poland, which now had access to agricultural subsidies by the EU and new job markets for their workforce. For Hungary, they were in need of foreign investments and infrastructure projects to up their living conditions. Their collaboration was a win-win situation for both parties, and for a good few years, their relationship flourished. The European Union provided Hungary and Poland with the necessary funds to develop their infrastructure and boost their economic growth. Cities like Warsaw had an incredible development, and Hungary quickly became a key part of European tourism and manufacturing. Polish and Hungarian cities now had the right to travel and work freely in any part of the Union. However, things don't always work out the way you want them to, so with the passing time, cracks begin to emerge in their relationship. Even though economic collaboration was a big success, tensions emerged over political disputes.
Hungary and Poland don't like the new rules.
Tensions between Budapest and the European Union.
Where a committee of MEPs has just voted to sue the European Commission for unfreezing billions of euros in funding for Hungary.
The two countries had disagreements with the EU over the rule of law and democratic reforms. Brussels, the de facto capital of the EU, accused them of limiting press freedom and destroying judicial independence. On the other hand, Poland and Hungary claimed that these allegations are a direct attack on their sovereignty. Why? Because there are zero terrorist attacks in Poland.
Because there's zero terrorist attacks in Poland.
Today, Poland and Hungary violate EU principles, revealing a widening gap. What began as a common vision of unity and progress has devolved into a debate over national identity and the boundaries of European integration. This bumpy relationship has the EU on shaky ground. Will the cracks be patched, or will it all fall apart?
The rule of law.
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 The rule of law is
The rule of law.
One of the key causes of the dispute between Poland, Hungary, and the European Union is the rule of law. The EU's rule of law guarantees democratic government, judicial independence, and human rights, therefore preserving justice, equality, and fairness. It makes countries answerable to preserve these fundamental values. The European Union has often criticized Poland and Hungary for weakening their democratic institutions like the press and court. Poland has attempted to erode impartiality by implementing several policies that align the judiciary with their government policies. Brussels has criticized these actions as they see it as a direct threat to the country's democratic foundations and EU's core principles. Hungary isn't far behind on this, as Prime Minister Viktor Orban has been criticized for violating EU's rule of law by taking control over Hungary's key institutions like schools, public organizations, media, and courts. Orban likes to practice illiberal democracy, which gives the government maximum control and limits civilian freedom. The EU believes that Hungary is moving away from its democratic values, which could lead to tensions with other EU member states. Due to these negligences, Poland and Hungary have faced serious problems. Poland's crime rate in 2023 was around 2.1 per 1,000 for violent crimes. Hungary recorded a comparable number of roughly 2.5 per 1,000. Even though this is a relatively low number, when it comes to property crimes like theft, they have some serious problems, and they have only increased in the past few years. Is it because they are neglecting the EU's policies, or is there something else to it? While Hungary and Poland were already on the European Union's radar because of their rule of law violations, the refugee crisis certainly made it worse. This disagreement dates back to 2015, a year that witnessed one of the biggest refugee crises in history. Countries like Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan were in between an intense war during this time, making the Middle East inhabitable for civilians. Millions of people were forced to leave their homes for safety, and Europe was their beacon of hope. With more and more migrants arriving in the European Union, countries like Italy and Greece were impacted the most. As the two countries border the Mediterranean Sea, they had the most number of immigrants and suffered some serious chaos and frustration. Seeing this influx of immigrants in these countries, the EU released a controversial relocation mechanism in which they distributed asylum seekers to different members of the Union. For some, this was a great initiative, but others weren't happy about it. This was the point where differences began to emerge. Western European states like France and Germany openly supported the plan and agreed to house the refugees. On the flip side, Eastern European countries like Hungary and Poland strongly opposed this initiative. They believed that this would compromise their sovereignty and that they were being forced to accept migrants without their consent. They rejected the migration policy based on two key reasons: cultural identity and national security. Poland and Hungary believed that allowing an influx of asylum immigrants in their countries is an immediate threat to their national security. They cited the attacks of Brussels, Paris, and Berlin as terrorist attacks caused by extremist groups exploiting the migration routes to enter the EU. They believed that by accepting such a large number of migrants from war-struck countries could expose their civilians to similar kinds of problems. Another concern of the two countries was their cultural preservation. Poland and Hungary are predominantly Christian countries with a rich history. They believed that this influx of migrants from the Middle East, mostly Muslims, would lead to cultural clashes, and they might lose their cultural heritage. Poland rejected the EU mandates to take in refugees because it believed that it might lose its culture and identity to Muslim-dominant refugees. Hungary, on the other hand, not only rejected the Union's decision to accept refugees, but it also constructed physical border fences to stop migrants from entering the country. This act raised some issues for the Hungarian government, as the entire Union was upset over it. The rule of law and migration disputes weren't the only problems the European Union had with Hungary and Poland. The two countries have significantly benefited from the European Union and its funding, but still resisted several EU mandates that went against their interests. They believe that these EU policies go against their sovereignty, and by attempting to impose these policies, the EU is threatening their independence. In other words, we can say that Poland and Hungary want to enjoy the financial and economic benefits of EU membership without fully accepting and implementing their policies. That's not all, as their geopolitical alignment has also caused them some serious tensions with the EU. Both Hungary and Poland now prefer nationalism above the EU's unity. Their resistance towards EU initiatives like gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and climate action is an example of this. For instance, Hungary has implemented legislation restricting LGBTQ+ rights, while Poland has established LGBT-free zones in specific areas. These acts intensify conflicts as they contradict the more liberal principles of the EU. Moving further apart from the policies of the EU, both nations have also tightened relations with other populist regimes. The dispute between the European Union and its two member states has caused political isolation for Poland and Hungary. As their dispute continues, the two countries have found themselves standing against many Western European leaders. The two countries were considered to be an integral part of the Union, but their current stance and rigidness have exposed them to criticism. Many EU member states believe that Polish and Hungarian policies are a threat to the EU's core principles, and that their resilience is causing troubles within the Union. Due to their resilience, the European Union has decided to take a strong legal stance against Hungary and Poland. Both countries will face several infringement procedures and legal actions taken by the EU for violations of EU law to revert their resilient policies against migration, rule of law, and judicial independence. The Union has also threatened to withhold further funds, especially the pandemic recovery package, to exert pressure on the two states. If this continues, will the EU keep funding Poland and Hungary? Or is their money trail about to run dry? Only time will tell.